job for upwards of 4 years now. I enjoy every day of it. And I'm really proud to be associated with this job. The reason why I'm proud is because I'm dealing with the professionalism that's represented by the 3 people I'm going to introduce to you. What I'd like to do now is call on Robert Van Sant, Darius Harley, and Melvin Maldonado, and ask them to come up and join me at the podium, please. The professionalism I'm talking about here is best represented by the type of work that these people do repeatedly and do so well. Robert, he's a carpenter working in the job now for approximately 1.5 years. And he spent most of that time working in the carpenter shop. The carpenter shop produces all of the blockouts, the embeds, and all of the necessary pre-cuts that we need throughout the job. They all have to be built to precise measurements, and Robert does it repeatedly and without any problems. For that, Robert, I'd really like to thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Darius, he runs a crane, usually a 110-ton crane, down on Route 7. And a lot of you people are probably familiar with the traffic conditions on Route 7. You got eastbound, high volume, 4 lanes. You got westbound, probably higher volume, 4 lanes. And you got our narrow work site right in the middle. And you got Robert sitting on a Darius rather, sitting on a 110-ton crane there. And he's making these 5, 10, 20-ton pegs. He's picking that material up and he's dropping it within inches of a desired spot, time and time again for 2 years. That is professionalism. And for that, Darius, I thank you. Of course, Darius doesn't work alone. Melvin has spent a lot of time working with him. Melvin is a pile driver who rigs, supervises the hoisting, and places upwards of 60-foot-long steel beams in the same area. He's been doing that for a number of years without incident. It's a tremendous feat. With the volume of traffic down there, it's absolutely tremendous that that's done. Melvin, I'd like to thank you for your efforts. You've seen the pictures there, you've seen the quality of the work. I see it from a slightly different perspective because you might guess I'm close to retirement age and I'm retired and close to this facility. And I'm going to be using this rail to get from my home to my local. And every time I go down it, I'm going to remember these things. I'll hand you back to Jack.
I'm Alan Steele. I'm the lead aerial bridge superintendent, responsible for erecting all those segments you see through Tyson's Corner and specializing in those launching girders. And so there's a lot of dangerous work there, but we get a lot of professional people here. And I want to bring forward Terrell McLaughlin. He represents he represents the International Ironworkers Local 201 and another ironworker at the International Local 5, Trevlin Brenson. Right here, please. Representing the Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Shane McDonald, Local 26. Is Ever here? Ever Quahada?
I didn't recognize him on Reston. Over here. Ever's been on the job a couple of years, but he only recently came over to the stations group. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Paul Gogan. I'm the station task manager. My job is to build 5 stations that Pat was telling you about. We do whatever work we can with local union craft. A lot of our work is building the structure itself of the stations, and then we have about more than a dozen subcontractors come in and do a lot of the finished work, whether it's electrical, mechanical, piping, or architectural. So Ever's been with our group just about 4 months. Being the stations group is one of the last big civil-orientated groups that gets going, so we sort of have to look to the other groups, aerial and civil, to try to get the best craft we can. And I was very, very glad whenever it came to the stations group, because it came highly recommended. Josh Teskey recommended it, and I knew that was a good recommendation. And we did find out that he was an excellent laborer foreman. He's very dedicated to the job at hand, to the safety, to the quality. He's very supportive of his fellow craft. He's a very good teacher. He takes the time to teach the other people in his crew how to do things. We appreciate that. He's a good family man. He comes across as kind of shy, but he's an excellent leader, and you know, strong silent type that helps us get our work done. We really appreciate his efforts. Thank you very much.
Veronica Savoy is a Teamster with us. She works in the MOT department and supports MOT and other movement of apparatus and equipment around the site. She drives a water truck and a TMA truck. So when you see traffic being held up out there and you see the TMA truck, the safety truck with the bumper on the back, Veronica's one of the people at the wheel. I also have Ricardo Nava. Ricardo works for the MOT department. One of the most dangerous jobs on the site, dealing with Northern Virginia drivers in the Tysons Corner area. If any of you people have driven a car out there or walked across the street, you know what I'm talking about. They have to do it in the rain, in the snow, at night. He does work nights, so it's really treacherous. He was with the concrete department earlier on and took the VDOT intermediate highway training and decided to move over to MOT. And for the cement masons, I also have Michael Freeland. Michael, come on up. We have a strong organization of cement masons here. Michael's one of them. As you can see, he's a nice, strong guy. And they do a real good job for us. Anyway, I'm real proud of these people. They work long hours. I won't get into how many hours. Sometimes it's embarrassing. And they work long hours in bad weather. When the rest of the site closes down for weather or any kind of hostile activity, these guys are still there, including Michael, because we can't leave once we put concrete in the ground. And if that means you got to babysit it for 18 hours, that's what it takes to get it done. So when Jack talks about doing a good job, it takes the team you see here, everybody working together to make it happen.
They saved the best for last, the tunnel. I got some tough acts to follow, and I have my notes, so I'm going to read it, but it's from the heart. I'd like to bring somebody up here. Stephen Jeffrey Buck, please. I was invited here to speak about the craft used to build the 2 tunnels that are under Tysons Corner. For the tunnels, we primarily used miners. Steve represents the miners. Equipment operators, electricians, and carpenters around the clock. We never stopped, except for Sundays and maybe some Saturdays. The tunnels were a huge success, and DTP could not have done them so well without the skilled craftsmen from the local unions. The miners actually come out of the laborers union, but have special skill sets for underground work. I had the opportunity to work directly with the unions. They allowed me to do that and handpick the 70 people that were on our tunnel team. So that was a great advantage that we had that lended itself to our success. Tunneling is a unique type of construction that requires unique people. Most of the time working in confined spaces that are dark, damp, dripping, and muddy. Underground work is very dangerous, and you must be constantly aware of your surroundings due to tight work areas, large equipment, unsupported ground, and the air quality. You have to constantly monitor the air quality. I was asked to choose a person on the tunnel team that really stood out, which was difficult because we had so many key players on our team. We really had a great team, the best team that I've ever worked for or with in 24 years. However, I chose Stephen Jeffrey Buck to represent the miners because of his significant contributions, and I'm going to describe a little bit about it. I met Steve on my second day in Virginia over 11 years ago. He was working for another contractor at the time. I'm pleased to say Steve has been with Bechtel for 2.5 years now. I remember the day Steve showed up at my trailer on the Dulles Corridor Metro Rail project back in spring asking if we were doing a tunnel. This time he found me before I could find him. We did something a little different with Steve on this job. We made him a general foreman in charge of the night tunnel operations with no superintendent. This demonstrates how much trust I have in Steve's experience and judgment, and when I went to Jack with that recommendation, he didn't even hesitate, he supported me. That meant Steve was in charge of both tunnel mining operations for 12 hours every night. He was the man. He's excellent at all of them. Buck leads by example, working side by side with the men, and they respect and follow him. I would come in the morning at 6:30, he'd be covered in shotcrete. No other general foreman I know would work like that. Outstanding. He is dependable, rarely late, and hardly ever misses work. In fact, tonight for this, he's now working with us on the stations. I think this is the first time that he's ever missed a shift that I know of. Finally, I want to point out that we worked 24 hours a day for over 2 years and finished the tunnels with an outstanding safety record and excellent quality. Best job I've ever been associated with. This is a reflection of the skill and dedication of the people who built it, so thank you.